Reprenons l'anglais en contexte.
There is something called the Beckham Law that you could hopefully qualify for that would put you in a certain tax bracket.
Une tranche d'imposition.
Tax bracket that would potentially save you a lot of money depending on the tax bracket you are in. However, what I was told, and by the way, you're going to be told different things from like different lawyers and advisors, so that makes it difficult. But if you qualify for this specific law that puts you at a certain tax amount, you are not able to do write-offs.
Vous ne pouvez pas procéder à des déductions.
You are not able to do write-offs for your taxes. So if you have an LLC,
Une société à responsabilité limitée.
Limited liability company.
so if you have an LLC, a lot of the times when you do your taxes, you'll say these are business expenses.
Dépenses de l'entreprise.
You'll say these are business expenses, and you can write them off in the taxes,
Vous pouvez déduire ces dépenses de vos impôts.
and you can write them off in the taxes. And if you qualify for Beckham Law, you can't do that apparently. But if you pay taxes normally in your normal tax bracket, then you can. So I'm right now getting my head around all of that.
Je suis en train de me faire une idée de tout cela.
I'm right now getting my head around all of that because once you submit the paperwork and if everything
It's
works
over.
out, you become a legal tax resident. And
I mean, it's not over as such. You can
I
readjust
think you have to be
later on,
here, I think it was 182 days before it technically starts. But these are the types of things that are very important to know. They're not necessarily fun.
Yeah.
They're not fun at all. But if you're going to be a digital nomad, do that homework for whatever country you're moving to. I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know that Spain was going to be a pain in my rear end.
Un casse-tête.
A pain in my rear end with the bureaucracy. But now I know. But it's okay. Sometimes you gotta go through the struggles to get what you want.
What would be your top 3 rewards?
Récompense.
Top 3 rewards of the digital nomad's lifestyle.
I truly feel like a better person because I have learned so much more about the world as I traveled the world. I have met the most amazing people from all of these different countries who give me perspective about life and certain things that I maybe didn't realize how lucky I was to have. And it's not like I grew up on a silver platter.
Ce n'est pas comme si j'avais grandi sur un plateau d'argent.
And it's not like I grew up on a silver platter. I did not at all. I grew up with very humble beginnings. But even my humble beginnings in comparison to other people I meet in different countries is like they would give anything, right, to sometimes have the opportunities that I had, especially in the United States. So I feel like it made me a warmer person.
Cela a fait de moi une personne plus chaleureuse.
A warmer person and more humble for sure. And more empathetic.
Plus empathique, sensible.
More empathetic. And I was always an empathetic person, but even more so now. So I would say that was the number one reward. I guess it's kind of in 3 parts. So becoming more empathetic, also just becoming a wiser person.
Plus sage.
Becoming a wiser person. You know, me and my friends that do travel a lot, we always joke and say, I learn more about the world, traveling than in school. It's true. I mean, you do. And so I do feel a lot wiser about and cultured.
Cultivé.
And cultured because of that. And that's if you travel right, because some people will travel and they don't really put in the effort to get to know the locals and learn their stories and really and live like they do, But that's what I do. That's what I enjoy doing. And just feeling happier.
Right.
Yeah.
You've been to well over 20 countries.
Tu as visité plus de 20 pays.
Yeah.
You've been to well over 20 countries.
Yeah, for sure. I've been over to 20. I'd have to count. And there are people who have been to so many more countries than I have because, say someone born in Europe, for example, it is a lot easier to travel, right, and see different countries because you are in such close proximity to all these different countries with different languages. And I was always so envious in a way of people who were born in Europe. And I was like, oh man, the vacationing is so much more interesting.
Right.
In the United States, it does cost a lot more to travel and especially if you're in the middle of it, you gotta travel really far just to get to a different country. And then there's Canada is up there, And then, you have a lot of options down there, but it is more difficult and costly. So, yeah, I've been to definitely more than 20. Not as much as other people that I know, not as many as other people that I know. And I also try not to make it a total numbers game. It is fun, though, to say once you get to a certain number and it's just like, yes, I reached this. But for me, I really like the kind of experiences where you're there for a good chunk of time.
Un bon bout de temps.
For a good chunk of time, where I could even learn different phrases from their native language, and hopefully make friends there. Go on some dates.
Des rendez-vous galants.
Even go on some dates if I feel like it. And, really be one with the country. And you can't do that when you're just there for a short period of time and let me just see all these main tourist spots. And some people do prefer to travel that way, but it's not my style. I like to give it some time.
How do you make sure that you actually make the most?
Tirer le meilleur parti.
How do you make sure that you actually make the most of the place and don't get distracted? We have so many distractions today. Just the simple fact of having your phone around, having a list of places to visit. In that country, for instance, you're traveling for just a weekend, and the fact of having so many things to do on your to-do list can sort of distract you from actually enjoying the place, I would say.
Maybe some digital nomads might be in a situation where they can only be there for a very short period of time. I haven't done that. When I do my trips, I'm there for at least 2 weeks.
What's the bare minimum?
Le strict minimum.
What's
the bare minimum?
I'd say 2 weeks, because you're still going to be working. At least I was. I was always working along the way.
J'ai toujours travaillé entre-temps.
I was always working along the way. So, yeah, I'd say that could at least give you enough time to explore at least more than one city. You could focus on one too. But outside of your pockets of work, you really need to talk to the locals, and you don't need to be fluent in the language, especially if it's a country that is so far removed from anything that you know. But at least learn some of the basics like hello, goodbye, yes, no, maybe where's the bathroom or something, things that might come along.
Les choses qui peuvent se présenter.
Things that might come along. And even if you suck at the language.
Même si vous êtes nul dans la langue.
Even if you suck at the language, for example, when I was in France, I suck at French. I really do. It's a very difficult
common thing for
language.
Americans.
It is just, the pronunciation is so different than anything I was used to.
That's true.
So, but I tried, and
That's
it was
most important.
And it's funny because a lot of people who, maybe they have a specific view, and I don't necessarily know where they were from, the different people that I hear this from, but they would say, sometimes the people in Paris, they could be a little rude.
Désagréable.
They could be a little rude. It was like a stereotype, right? And I said, that's so weird. Everyone was so nice to me. Did you try speaking French? And I said, I tried. I mean, I busted it.
Je me suis planté, j'ai massacré la langue.
I busted it in the worst way, and they would kind of be like, hee hee hee, and giggle.
Ricaner.
And giggle. But they appreciated it, and everyone was actually extremely nice. And actually, that has been my experience in every country, because I always at least tried to speak something. And so before I would go into a restaurant, can I have, whatever sentence you would use to order, go on Google Translate and do it. Listen to it and attempt.
Yeah. You have to take the first step.
Il faut faire le premier pas.
You have to take the first step, actually. Yeah. They want to see proximity. They want to see effort from you as a tourist. If you just come over and then you display this sort of ethnocentrism.
Si vous vous présentez et que vous faites preuve de cette forme d'ethnocentrisme.
If you just come over and then you display this sort of ethnocentrism. And, it's like everything revolves around yourself.
C'est comme si tout tournait autour de soi.
It's like everything revolves around yourself. Why are people so different? And then you just don't want to get by. It's going to be problematic. So I think in most cases, this is what happens.
And I've seen it. I've seen the type of tourist, in many different places where, they definitely had that about them. And I just never understood it, because I said, then why are you traveling? Why? If you're not interested in learning more about the culture and in really immersing yourself. I suppose just seeing the sights,
Voir les sites.
just seeing the sights and the food is enough for some people.
That's true.
It's not for me. It's not. No. I said I want to have a more intimate relationship with the countries that I visit. I do.
Right.
One way to put it, I suppose.
Et voilà, pour plus de contenu, abonnez-vous et activez la cloche de notification. À présent, essayez de faire un bref résumé de la conversation dans les commentaires pour évaluer votre compréhension.